I'm here with Bender.
And I'm here with Sydney, and this is BS Astrology.
What's up, y'all? It is episode 19, May 12th through the 18th, and we got, I think, a whammy of a week. We are going to go, including my birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday!
No singing, though.
You're the one who said it.
No,
you're the one who said
I
it.
Just acknowledged it, but also because I get a decent moon.
Okay. Happy birthday.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
But let's talk about the notes of the week. We're going to open the week fully swinging with a full moon in Scorpio. The sun is going to meet Uranus this week. Jupiter is square the nodes. Saturn will be anaretic by Tuesday, but also probably operating a bit better than Saturn has been behaving, because actually in Saturn's bounds. We have the Sun and Pluto are going to be contra Antiscia on May 16th and 17th. As a reminder, contra Antiscia works a bit like an opposition, kind of in the background, like a secret handshake or like a secret boxing match. Mercury will square Pluto this week, and that energy will hold until Wednesday. Pluto is retrograde, so we're going over old territory, or old new territory, since Pluto is still very much in the very beginning degrees of Aquarius. And Mars is finally fully clear of that opposition to Pluto.
As we're filming this now, it is not fully clear of that opposition. And Sid has been making fun of me for how it affects me personally.
If only because we know that these episodes turn into ASMR journeys with Bender hitting things with their hands.
I'm a frenetic little guy.
Yeah, so we're trying. No hitting your chest either, because it makes the microphone rattle.
Okay. No, I can't promise, but okay.
Yeah, we're doing what we can with what we have.
Which is us.
I am wearing pants. I should put, it's hot out. It's 80 degrees. We're living the dream.
This is great.
Yeah. Okay. So let's jump into it, unless you want any like basic notes about what's going on, or should we just go?
No, I think we should jump right into it. I mean, I guess we can. The way we ended last week's episode was with that Venus and Aries trine Mars and Leo.
Yeah.
So that's going to be, and that was at 11:59 p.m.
Right.
For Sunday. So that energy is going to be carrying us into
it's almost like
start of Monday.
Relationship issues, or because there was such a relationship journey that has been kind of happening over the last couple of weeks, are finally in some sort of like movement forward, or almost like a resolution. These things come together. It feels good.
Or at least you found the door to the next step of that story. But I also think that transit is significant for the full moon that's coming up this week. It's going to be a Mars-ruled full moon. So anyway, I think that Venus trine Mars is a fun way to transition from the week prior into this week.
I'm into it.
And that brings us to Monday.
Yeah, that brings us to Monday, May 12th. I think that we should just go into the full moon in Scorpio.
Agreed.
I will put the chart up for the like how the energy holds, like for the noon chart as well. But I'm going to open this with the full moon in Scorpio chart, because it's a doozy.
Yeah, it's gnarly. It's gnarly, bruh.
Around 9:55 a.m. actually is the full moon in Scorpio. It's going to be at 22 degrees. 12 minutes. And just for people that might not be familiar with why we put the degrees, is like you kind of want to know like where these things are hitting your chart in particular. And the opposition happens when these two planets are in opposing signs at the same degrees. And that's how the full moon happens. Super fun.
Yeah. So if you have a sign at 22 degrees, or a cusp or whatever at 22 degrees, take a look at if that might be interacting with this full moon.
Especially if you have fixed signs, somewhere between, I would say, 20 to 26 degrees. So that's going to be Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. In particular, like this is kind of the doozy. If you have, if you have some water at these degrees, I think it's going to feel a little bit more flowing. Doesn't mean it's not going to be a doozy. It's just easier energy perhaps to like grapple
with.
with.
I would say more productive energy potentially, rather than just horrific.
But let's talk about the full moon features. I'll lead with the mansions because I love my mansions.
You love your mansions.
I love my mansions.
And I'm still learning about the mansion, so I love hearing about it.
Yeah. So this mansion is called the Sting, aka Al Shaula, I think. Al Shaula. Oh, I might have. Anyways, which has the nature of Mercury and Mars. So Mercury and Mars are about like cognitive thinking, and then Mars is usually about cutting, confrontation, anger, aggression, ambition, passion, desire. Mercury can be about communication. It can be about travel. Certainly there can be stuff about that, but it has the nature of these things. So
very martial.
Yeah, I think very like combative words is kind of where, especially when we think about Scorpio. And
I was going to say, when you saying combative words and then thinking about Scorpio, I hate that. Yeah. Scorpios know how to say something that will literally kill you.
The laser beam of like just digging into that one spot that you didn't think that anybody saw, Scorpio sees.
No one has ever been able to hurt me like a Scorpio who knows exactly what to say to me to make me hate myself.
Oh, man. Yeah. Full Scorpios. Moons and like the moon in Scorpio in general just absolutely annihilates my chart. And so... I'm not thrilled with this lunation, but okay, so it is an auspicious mansion for armies outside of cities and advancement upon them. So this is very martial. This is inauspicious for liberation. Great.
Love that.
Yeah. Martial overtones, auspicious for battle and besiegement, can signal onset of conflict. And the Picatrix, it has the image of a woman with her hands over her face, and there's a scorpion sitting next to her. So it's almost like she was damaged or watched the annihilation and now has to
now has to cope.
Yeah. So when we're thinking about full moons, we're usually thinking about confrontation. We're thinking about release because it's the opposition. This has to do with me versus you energy. There's still some sort of confrontation, fight. The full moon means that things can come up to light because that's when the moon is at its brightest, so we can see things that were in the dark. With the sun in Taurus really trying to plant seeds around our stability and security, and the things that make us feel like really safe and chill. Like the moon in Scorpio says, fuck chill.
Yeah.
Like, what is this complacency? What is this stillness when nothing's okay? And the moon comes and just kind of annihilates that. Yeah. It is security minded. I think, all of the fixed signs are about like retention. But like
Scorpio has this weird tendency to, it's like we need to purge that which keeps us from being stable. Right?
Yeah. It's about elimination, certainly, but it's also about manipulation and control.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And maintaining control, using those
keeping you under the thumb.
Yeah.
So
we have some pretty interesting full moon features.
Yeah. So this is why that last transit from the week prior, I think was worth mentioning. This moon is ruled by Mars and Leo.
Yeah.
And then if you keep following that thread, that Mars in Leo is ruled by the sun in Aries. Is ruled by the Venus in Aries. My bad. I'm sorry. The sun is ruled by the Venus in Aries. Jesus Christ. What did I just do to myself? Okay. So the sun is ruled by the Venus in Aries.
Yes.
So again, we're seeing a lot of martial themes here.
Yeah.
So just to clarify that one more time, moon is ruled by Mars and Leo. And the sun is ruled by Venus in Aries, and is in Venus's bound.
And then Venus in Aries is ruled by that Mars and Leo. So they're all bouncing around.
Yeah, kind of like ricocheting off of each other.
Like, no, you're my daddy. No, you're my daddy. No, you're my daddy. Are you my daddy?
Are you my daddy? Am I my daddy? So we have that going on. The moon will translate light from full moon to sun to opposition to Uranus.
Yeah.
And this is your thing, the algal conjunction.
Yeah, so algal and Uranus are together, and typically how it's been kind of playing out for the last couple of weeks, because Uranus is moving so slow, is people are literally just kind of being removed from power quickly, like just that idea of being beheaded. So I think that this is a significant beheading of some sort of leader, the sun being involved here. This could be, there's a lot of feminine energy happening here. This could be of a significant woman in particular as well.
Well, we're also seeing a lot of women in government positions being removed just because they're ladies.
Cool.
Yep.
We also do have a finger of God that is happening here as well. We have it with the moon being at the apex, with Jupiter and Chiron being the bases here. And so there's definitely, nothing is in really great condition. The moon is in its fall. Jupiter is in its detriment. Chiron is just in this spicy baby land of Aries. And it can be also just like a wound. I think the moon being at the apex, it really speaks to femininity and women. As well, with the moon being in the feminine sign of Scorpio. So there's something significant about, there was already something significant about this moon, but because there's a finger of God also pointing to it, there's something even more prominent about it as well. We also have
the moon is applying a trine to Saturn in its last degrees of Pisces. And again, just an interesting combo. We've got Saturn, and we've talked about those final degrees, right? So we're in like kind of the last chapters of Saturn and Pisces, and we have this moon in Scorpio in its fall making contact with Saturn.
And I think it just speaks to eliminate and release. Moon in Scorpio, eliminate. The full moon, about some sort of release, culmination. And then you have Saturn at the very last degrees, which is all about, it's the ending degree of the zodiac. It's ending.
It's in the ending sign of the zodiac.
Ending. And Saturn is about endings. It's about time. It's about age. So there's something dying here, death, literally.
And everybody I know I'm experiencing this, but where are you experiencing death in your life, like in yourself right now? Because I know where mine is. Yeah, I know where mine is. I am going through a profound death and rebirth right now.
I'm thinking a lot.
We were actually just talking about.
I've been thinking a lot about friendships, because I have Saturn going through ending in my whole sign 7th, and also by any other system, also the 7th.
Do you have friendships ending right now?
I am thinking about removing a few people.
Just a cleanse. Just cleaning house.
Because I recently got engaged. And
now you got to think about who to invite to the wedding.
No, nothing like that. But I'm very private about like making any sort of like private or public announcements around that stuff. So I didn't do anything on like any grand scale. Right. I did it in this very small group of people, and a couple of people who are aware of my previous relationship, which ended years ago, for the record, did not say anything to me. And are also
that is just none of their damn business.
Well, for me, I'm just like, I am happy and I'm in love, and if my friend is happy and in love and in a better place, like emotionally, than they were in their previous relationship, I would be really stoked for them. So I'm kind of like, does this really need to be? So so that's where there's an ending happening somewhere in your chart. Figure out by whole sign where Pisces is. There's likely some sort of ending happening here. If you use other house systems, you're going to want to find the 29th degree of Pisces to kind of know what house that's happening in. So like if it's in your second house, there's something maybe financial or around your values and sense of like purpose, right? The third house could be around siblings. It could be around communication. It could be around like learning. Fourth house can be literally you're selling your house and you're leaving it. There's an ending that's happening somewhere in everybody's chart.
mine's in the 12th house, my Pisces. And since Saturn has gone into Pisces, I've been the most reclusive I've ever been in my life. And I can feel that it necessarily must shift, and that I need to come out of my little hidey hole.
Well, because Saturn's been rejoicing in there.
Yeah, exactly. Right? It's just been like ooh, yay, aloneness. I think I needed the break. I think I went through like a hyper social era of my 20s and needed a break. But it's time for, there's a lot of different things that are suggesting that it's time for me to stop being so reclusive and to kind of come back into community. But yeah, so it's things like that.
Investigate your endings.
Investigate your endings. Yeah.
Very much. I think that's an overarching theme, especially for these next couple of weeks, because Saturn's going to be hanging out there until he goes into Aries, which I think is on like the 25th. It's like a few weeks from now. So these, especially this week with the full moon and things being released and kind of purged, there is something about an ending that needs to be investigated by every person, I think.
If you're going through your Saturn return in Pisces right now.
Yeah. And it's also setting us on our way forward, right? And it can be around, being more compassionate towards ourselves and others, with that moon in Scorpio is going to be trining the North Node in Pisces. So it's like being facilitated as like some sort of release from the South Node, which is maybe around guilt or overwork or, themes of over-serving perhaps, or working too hard.
Martyring oneself.
Yeah. And then, but it's facilitating moving forward in the North Node in Pisces sort of way.
Yep.
Being more gentle with oneself.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, more compassionate.
Yeah.
Acknowledging that we're all in this together.
Yeah.
That you're not the only one who's suffering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the full moon, I think, is really, really spicy, very sensitive. I mean, as much as people want to think that like the sun in Taurus isn't sensitive, it is sensorially sensitive.
Body sensitive.
Yeah, it feels
through the body.
It feels through the body. And moon in Scorpio feels through revenge.
Feels through stabbing the body.
Right. But I would maybe say that like the moon in Scorpio is probably the most sensitive of the water signs.
Definitely. And it's the most sensitive because it has such a difficult time
releasing
it. Yeah.
So I just think that there's something like physically we're feeling it. Emotionally we're feeling it. Like the depths on both ends of the spectrum are pretty strong.
Yeah.
So hooray full moon.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot. And I do think it's gonna be necessary. I think we're going through these endings no matter what sign the moon is in. I think Scorpio, if you want to think positively about the moon in Scorpio, whatever you're resisting or not wanting to look at or not wanting to acknowledge that is necessary for these endings, this full moon is going to bring it up.
Yeah, it has to.
Yeah.
Because after the full moon, we get Mercury in Taurus square, retrograde Pluto in Aquarius. Yep. These are things that are being said coming to light. This could be secrets. This could be information.
Confessions.
Totally can be confessions.
Yep.
So, this is also getting to the bottom of some sort of psychological matter. The conversations could be quite intense. Also be very careful not to try to necessarily wound people with your words. Something comes up and you decide that you want to, you could do some damage with Mercury square Pluto.
Yeah, I have it natally, so
you're like, fair.
There might be truth to this.
And then 1103, we get a sesqui square from the moon to Venus. So this is some sort of frustration around relationships. So following the story, something comes up, a relationship kind of gets jostled a bit.
Yep. And actually we have like all the way through 3 o'clock, we have just discomfort happening, right?
And that's that yod, right? Bringing something to the moon and remembering that the healthy way that a moon in Scorpio would be behaving is to feel the feeling and then to release it.
Yes.
It is about elimination. And so with that pressure on
and
that
not trying to force other people to release. It's
all
a healthy
about you.
moon in Scorpio. Yeah. Acknowledges that it all comes back to oneself and the power within oneself.
Yeah.
I just hit my mic. There's definitely going to be a moment there. So, you know.
But so there's a call. I think there's a call. There's something here that's saying like release, emotionally release because of that apex of the moon.
Yeah, because the next thing, again, till 3:00, you have two quincunxes, moon quincunx Jupiter.
And Chiron.
And moon quincunx Chiron. So yeah.
7:30 p.m. Now we get the moon. After having the full moon, now is hitting and opposing that Uranus and Taurus. So this is emotional. This is just blatantly emotional destabilization.
Yep.
Can be shock. Can be also like physical to the physical body, the moon being the body.
Yep.
Yeah, this is definitely just really feeling out in sorts.
Yeah.
And also probably really fucking angry.
Yeah.
Because the moon in Scorpio can be a very angry, passionate moon, and is ruled by that Mars and Leo. So I'm thinking it's really about
like
anger.
Dramatic outbursts.
Yeah.
Of thing,
I think it's angry. I think it's super passionate, and I think it is probably feeling there's something around the ego here. Yeah.
I think that you were onto something with the physical pain too, just because of that Taurus Scorpio opposition.
Yeah.
Could even be, self-harm or self-sabotage, just in the name of trying to purge or trying to feel.
I think that there's something about like really trying to stay as even keeled as you can for this day.
Yeah.
And we do get a little bit of a balm, if not a depressing balm. With 11:30, the moon will trine Saturn in Pisces. And so I think this is literally, you're feeling it all, but you're able to feel kind of calm.
You can see the reason for it all. You can see the purpose.
It's like, and also maybe you're taking a little bit of time to yourself. It's kind of in isolation, feeling a little set aside. Like that is,
and I do think
social.
I think if it ends up being, no, it's not social at all. But yeah, I think that if this ends up being a very tumultuous day, it might not even be depressing. It could be very welcome, just wanting to go and be within yourself.
Yeah, that things just kind of get...
that you just want to go and process.
Yeah.
That's what that is with Scorpio moon trining Saturn in Pisces, emotional processing for sure.
Yeah. And then, so that's Monday.
That's Monday. And that's how we're starting off the week, y'all.
Yeah. And sorry, we know that like the Monday part of this was very long, but the full moon, it was really, really juicy.
That's kind of the primary feature of this week.
Yeah.
And I think that whatever energy comes from that full moon in Scorpio will carry us through the majority of the week. That's going to inform a lot.
So let's go into Tuesday, May 13th. Yep. It's Mars's day. Mars is still in Leo. I'm not really sure if I love Mars and Leo.
You have a more tumultuous relationship with Leo than I
mean,
do.
It is my 12th house.
Yeah.
But it does trine my Jupiter Uranus.
Yeah.
It's like
mixed bag for you.
Yeah, it's good news, bad news bears.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's a mixed bag for me too, but overall I tend to like Mars and Leo. I like what it does with my Mercury. It definitely makes conversations flow for me, and I'm a chatty guy, so that works out pretty well for me. I think I can tap into the performative nature of it a little bit.
I can dig it.
Yeah. We were just talking about our childhoods, and I was the kid who was up on the fireplace, like singing into a microphone, and Sid was not.
I read the encyclopedia.
Yeah.
Okay, but early in the morning, so we have a vibe shift. We're going to wake up with a vibe shift because we get the moon entering Sagittarius. So definitely feeling a little bit more philosophical, wanting its freedom, wanting to go off on new horizons. It's like it felt all the things. It's like, let me go. Yeah,
there's a little levity after the Scorpio thing.
Yeah,
the Scorpio thing, the Scorpio moon.
That thing.
That thing. And what I kind of like about Sagittarius coming right after Scorpio is it definitely feels like that I'm going to run away from this feeling kind of vibe.
There's a bit of that, or like, fuck it, I'm out.
Yeah, like this was too much, I'm out.
That was a lot.
That was a lot. I need to go and just have an adventure.
Yeah.
So, yes, we've got a little moon biquintile to Chiron at 3 a.m. Again, most of us will be sleeping. But I think the big thing is for the morning is at 4:25 a.m. It's going to be closer to 7:30 if you're East Coast, is Moon trine Neptune, which is nice.
Yeah, dreamy.
It's nice. It's fiery.
Yeah, she's passionate.
It's passionate. I think it's dreaming of new horizons.
It's definitely
is absolutely a theme 100%. Of this. We got Moon in Sagittarius. Yeah, creative. Moon in Sagittarius. So again, it's about travel and philosophy and expansion. And then we've got Neptune in Aries, which is about
new frontiers.
So I definitely think there's like new horizons and dreaming of new adventures.
Yeah,
with Moon trine Neptune.
Creative.
That could be a bomb after the full moon from the day before. Is just like I just need to escape and dream of something a little more exciting and joyful.
7:58 a.m. we get the moon quincunx Mercury. This is, you can be feeling pretty anxious. Like you don't really know how you want to communicate, and maybe should I say that? Maybe you say it and you're like that kind of thing. Especially because with Mercury and Taurus, it really wants to, like, it thinks about it and it says, okay, this is worth saying. And then says the thing. But with the moon and Sag, it's like, bleh.
Yeah. And Mercury and Taurus doesn't want that.
No, right? Not at all. So there's definitely anxiety.
There's a push and pull between wanting to impulsively say something and feeling like you really can't, or vice versa.
Moon and Sag go fast.
Yeah.
Mercury and
Moon
Taurus,
and Sag go fast.
Yeah. Mercury and Taurus, no fast. No.
No. Yeah, so it's definitely kind of like that, the like driving your car with the emergency brake up and you don't even realize it.
But I do think, like, when I think about where do Sag and Taurus have a little sliver of familiarity, and I think it's around value.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
So I think that there's potentially something that is being adjusted upon here around values, whether it is like literally the values you hold, and then like the philosophical values, your higher values, are like trying to find some sort of stasis here. It's not comfy, but it can be
not necessarily comfy, but I do think that where Taurus is most able to grow, the sign that is least interested in growing. I'm just kidding.
It likes to grow.
I know. But it wants to go at its own pace, right?
Yeah.
And I think that Taurus can kind of experience those leaps and bounds of growth, like you said, if it sees, if it sees value in it, if it can see the payback in it, or the payoff in it. Yeah.
9:11 a.m. we get the moon sextile retrograde Pluto, so now it can go deep.
Yep.
It has the ability to, should it want to.
Yes.
And I mean, let's be honest, Moon and Sag, not really interested in that. But if it were like pontificating upon some sort of philosophical problem,
right,
it really could like get into the nitty gritty around all of the different issues.
Yeah.
It's definitely,
it's detached depth, right? Because you can still get into really deep convos with Sag because it is the philosopher, right?
Yeah.
So you can talk abstractly about depth with Sagittarius. It's just as soon as you try to apply it directly to the Sag in question.
It does also kind of feel like whataboutism.
Yeah.
Or
a little bit like devil's advocate.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely feels a little bit like devil's advocate.
So there's that. 5:06 p.m.
Onward.
We get the moon trine Venus in Aries. This is That's a passionate, good feeling aspect. She's social, fired up because it's in fire sign. So like literally inspired. Feeling inspired.
Yeah, creatively inspired.
Yeah, and it's almost like I want to go on this new way of like with the things that I value. And the moon and Sag is like, I'm into that.
I just had this really creative idea and I just want to like, yeah.
It's also real freedom. Like a moon and Sag trine Venus in Aries, like in a natal chart, and you're trying to date them. They're like, I'm going backpacking.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you try to pin them down and they're like, no, like you can come with me, but it doesn't mean that like we're together.
Yeah, exactly. It's so true. It's like the fool, right? The fool is just like happily gonna walk off the cliff and just has its own thing going on.
Yeah, it's just very freedom loving in that that trine is just all about its freedom.
I love that comparison you made though, because it's absolutely like I love you. I have to go. Like,
you know, it's not in my best interest to be pinned down by you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very much kind of that thing.
So yeah. So we go from that moon trine Venus in Aries. We have a moon biquintile Mercury in Taurus. Yeah, a couple of smaller things throughout the evening. Around 9 p.m. we're gonna have that moon sesqui square to Chiron, which is gonna feel a little yucky.
It almost feels like you remember something about what was said or what came up, and it smarts.
Yeah. Like I hate those kinds of thoughts. Where you're just having a nice time.
And then you remember something you said in 1996. That's what that is.
And you're like,
moon sesqui
you just
Chiron.
Hate yourself for no reason.
Oh, I can't believe I said that. Like, or, you said something dumb to somebody and then all of a sudden
you just remember
you're just like in a clown loop.
Yep.
And it probably doesn't even mean anything to the other person. They don't even remember the interaction.
Again, this is a sesqui square, so it's small.
Yeah.
But you'll remember it.
You'll remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is the needle in the haystack. It has found you. The needle is poking you.
It's so true.
11:31 p.m. moon trine Mars.
That's nice. It's a little late for it.
Right. I'm like, I'm not trying to work out.
Yeah. I'm wondering if you're gonna have trouble sleeping. Or you're just not gonna want to go to bed that night. You're gonna be like, oh, I have all of this energy. Have you ever just got really, you know what? You'll get really caught up in a project and all of a sudden you'll look at the clock.
Yeah.
And it's midnight and you're like, oh shit, I was supposed to go to bed 2 hours ago.
It's real fun fuck energy though.
Yeah. That's something that you can do at night.
But for the general people, with someone that's no good for you, but it's real fun.
That is real fun. Moon and Sag, trine Mars and Leo. You're literally just doing it for the ego boost. You're like, this person's a babe and I need a notch in my belt loop.
Super fun.
Yeah. Wednesday. We're at Wednesday, May 14th.
That's my birthday.
Happy birthday. So Wednesday, May 14th, it's actually a pretty quiet day. There's not a ton going on.
Thank God. I love quiet.
Yeah.
I'm a Taurus. I'm like, give me a quiet chart.
Just nobody. And it's all uncomfortable, smaller aspects, but it is smaller aspects, or non-hallmark aspects. So we're starting, we don't even have any major any aspect at all until about 1:46 p.m. So we're already into the afternoon when the moon sesqui squares Mercury in Taurus. So again, just uncomfortable conversations, or a little bit of ruminating in your head. And then 3 p.m. we have the moon semi-square retrograde Pluto, which I think is going to feel not great.
Yeah. Yeah. A feeling is emerging.
Yeah.
It's not, but it's almost like, you can almost, because of Pluto being about elimination too.
It's also retrograding. So we could be having to go back and revisit something that makes us uncomfortable.
There is an intense feeling though. It is hopefully pretty brief.
I think it will be.
But then we get that quincunx. 9:04 p.m. we get moon quincunxes to sun. And so you're just really feeling out of sorts.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I have so many quincunxes in my chart. There's almost every once in a while, there'll be a moment when I'm having a pure, clear, I feel really great. My body feels good. Mentally, I'm in a good place. And I kind of look around, I'm like, It happens so rarely because I literally live in the quincunx.
You live in the quincunx.
That I notice so acutely when everything is not that. It's all of a sudden, all of the pain disappears.
You live so deeply in discomfort that when you're experiencing comfort, it's profound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super profound.
Yeah.
And very strange.
I experience that. Yeah,
it's just spooky.
It almost feels worse when there's not a quincunx.
Yeah, it's a very strange thing. Mm-hmm. And I think that discomfort is almost kind of like an electrical feeling, because we do have to remember that the sun is also still inching closer to Uranus.
Yep.
So he's within 3 degrees. So he's coming up to Uranus, and Uranus is like, hey, you want to like liberate?
You want to destabilize a little bit just for fun?
Yeah. And you know, Uranus really wants the sun to like liberate itself from like old fixed habits. And we're not quite there yet. So there's almost it to me. Uranus,
but you're starting to get like the little hits of insight.
Yeah. Or like just the little electrical feeling of like something is like little popcorn around the edges.
I agree. Yeah, I think that Wednesday, for the most part, it's not going to be a terrible day. There just might be, it's going to be one of those days where things just nothing goes quite right.
Feel a little frenetic.
Yeah, and you just feel a little bit uncomfortable. And I do think that is the first shockwave of that Sun-Uranus connection, right? Is like, something doesn't feel quite right. And I'm not sure what it is yet, but I'm starting to feel the rumbling below the surface. And that's what Wednesday feels like a little bit. But I do think that for the most part, you should be able to get through Wednesday unscathed.
Yeah. And I mean, Saturn is, you know, anaretic. So this is still all about releasing. And with the sun coming up to Uranus, which can be a sudden release of something, of energy, of, you know, shock and awe, certainly. You know, it could be a brilliant idea even. But there's just a lot of electricity in the sky. Jupiter is very, very close to being perfect in squaring the nodes. That's maybe something we should talk about, because it's midweek.
Yeah, and it's in Gemini still, and I'm so sick of Jupiter being in Gemini.
I think that we are going to know what that Jupiter square the nodes is when we get to, let's just go into the next day, Thursday. May 15th,
12:39 a.m. Moon in Sag opposite Jupiter in Gemini. So it's early in the morning. It's almost 1 a.m. It'll be closer to 4 a.m. for East Coasters.
I mean, Moon Jupiter oppositions are really going like emotionally overboard.
But we're with two signs that aren't necessarily known for high emotionality. It's definitely more like cerebral thought processes,
psychological overboard, right brain, left brain overboard. It's like both sides of the brain are doing stuff, and that's a little bit too much.
And kind of like trying to make sense of your feelings, like trying to logic your way out of your feelings, for sure.
But when the moon comes and squares the nodes, which is early in the morning, we have a choice point, like an emotional choice, right? And if we use evolutionary astrology rules, the moon will be going towards the north node. It is resolution node is that south node in Virgo. So it's release something. Maybe release some sort of belief that we've always held with that moon in Sag. Something there, something that we've told ourselves, a story that we've told ourselves that has caused us to be very hypercritical.
I was going to say, like, thinking in terms of that Virgo.
Yeah, that Virgo.
Like, what have we told ourselves that tells us that we deserve to sacrifice ourselves, or we deserve to
release some anxiety?
Release. Yeah, I think release some anxiety.
Yeah,
is a big one.
And then with Jupiter squaring nodes, you know, this is stuff around wisdom, higher learning, judges, immigration, foreigners. There could be something, I mean, with the moon in Sag, right?
Yeah.
Something definitely about other cultures and foreigners, our idea of foreigners, which is, you know, right now, anybody who is brown. Is
honestly, anyone, but it's not even just that. It's anyone who's brown, anyone who's not straight. Right? Anyone who's not Christian.
Well, anyone who's not a white man.
Yeah, anyone who's not a white wasp man.
But there's these issues. The resolution node for Jupiter is that north node in Pisces, which is literally like room for all.
Yeah.
and for everything and every expression of life.
Yep.
For the mystery of every type of thing, you know, it's like it's full compassion towards all beings.
Yeah. Well, I also think, so I think that Jupiter, what's been interesting about Jupiter and Gemini, now that we're talking about that square to the nodes, is just in terms of thinking about how that's been how Jupiter and Gemini has been functioning. It's funny, and this has just been a thought that I've been having, is obviously we're like going into like fascist Third Reich, like 101 handbook stuff in which we're trying to purge foreigners or people who don't fit that ideal. But I think that what's different between now and where it's happening versus where, you know, Nazi Germany was happening is we really are truly such a melting pot that I feel like it's really hard to get a focus on who does and doesn't belong here. Right? It's gotten too complicated. There's too many different kinds of people. There's too many different kinds of religions. There's too many,
hodgepodges,
and races are becoming increasingly integrated. You know, we don't experience nearly the same levels of segregation that we used to. And I think it makes it really hard. And this is what I think, like, the shadow side of Gemini is, like, it just can't get its focus. Right,
because everything's bifurcated.
Exactly, yeah. So that's what I think of with Jupiter and Gemini. And I think what's interesting with the nodes is I think there's this conversation to be had of, like, who are we, like, what are we using to justify this level of discrimination?
Ridiculous memes.
Yeah, ridiculous memes, right?
I mean, Jupiter and Gemini.
And we're also hearing about white people starting to, it's obviously significantly rare, but there are white foreigners who are starting to be sent to internment camps, which just tells me, it doesn't tell me like white people aren't safe. It tells me that the system's very confused about what it's trying to pull off.
Yeah. I just keep thinking about how Jupiter is publishing as well. And so, and it's about propaganda, right? And the propaganda is literally the most ridiculous.
Goof. Did you see the...
Yes, I did. You didn't even have to say it to me. I did. Yes, I saw it. But like, it's beyond, like, we have, to use a phrase from, I don't know, 10 years ago, we have completely jumped the shark.
Yeah, we have jumped the shark. We've lost the plot.
We're beyond that. I mean, we're all wondering, are we, like, did we all wake up in the bad place?
Yeah.
Like,
and we kind of did.
Yeah.
I mean, we voted ourselves into it, but
COVID ruined everything.
Yeah, COVID made shit weird.
Also, interestingly enough, because I believe was COVID the Saturn Jupiter conjunction, or was
it?
Yeah, we're about at the square.
Yeah. Oh, great. So continuation of that story.
Yeah.
And there's also a lot of concerns that we may be heading toward another pandemic.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Yeah. We're all doing so great.
Everything's great.
We're such a Debbie Downer today. It's okay. I mean,
it's not us, it's the Scorpio full moon.
Yeah. I mean, and also, so it should be noted here too, that Jupiter is within 5 degrees of the square to Saturn, which is an economic square. This is definitely about resources that we all have, like, as a culture, like as a country, many countries worldwide, like our trade is at an impasse. Like we're definitely feeling it. I'm very interested to kind of think forward about, like, what's going on with resources, because as we're filming this, which is on Monday, May 5th, we are being told, and it has been for like the last week, around shelves being bare because of everything having to do with shipments and tariffs. So come May 15th, when we have Jupiter, one of our planets that literally talks about trade, squaring the nodes, I think we're at a choice point that maybe it could get a lot worse.
I think certainly it'll.
But there's an opportunity here, a choice, literally a choice to be made, where it could potentially get better. I don't know if anyone is smart enough to make those choices.
I don't know. It would take I think that this could indicate points of strikes, boycotts, mass organization. If you want to think about like, I think that like as consumers, we are now going to be at a point to make a choice of kind of putting our money where our mouth is.
Well, and also, right? I mean, I continue to scream into the internet void around general strikes.
Yeah.
Because I think it is the only solution.
And it's only, it sucks and it's hard because the US is so huge, right? It's too big, right?
I don't even think it's too big. I think we're too selfish.
Yeah.
And too scared.
Yeah.
I think we have...
Well, I was going to say a general strike is something that you could do, that you could organize coast to coast.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think we're dealing with a whole bunch of Americans who are terrified of not having what they have, which is why we got into fascism anyways.
Right.
And
gotten really accustomed to our quality of life.
And we're also how many decades away from when people knew all of their neighbors.
Yeah.
So there are many, many people who are not in real community with the people that are near them.
Right. Yeah.
Like literally
I would say that's most of us.
Yeah. I feel really, really lucky to live in a place right now, because I just moved, where like there's a group chat.
Sick.
For everybody in the building. And like, it's just like, hey, I have this. Like, does anybody need it? And someone will claim it. They'll be like, oh, it's at the front table. And like, someone will come get it. Or like, hey, I need a tablespoon of baking powder. And like, someone will like tape it to my door.
Yeah.
And so it's been really nice, like in that way. But I think we all need to be really thinking about what community means, because we are going to have to be living a lot leaner. And I think that square really, really speaks to, we're all going to have to get really used to
sharing resources
and making decisions that we, wouldn't have made. I mean, there's so many people that are still shopping. They're still like buying shit from Shein.
I know.
And Temu or whatever, however you say
that. Temu is like hell on earth. Temu is the worst shit ever.
I've not ordered from either of those
companies. I never have either, but I
understand why people do.
I subletted to college kids when I lived in Boston.
Yeah. Like
rooms in my apartment, and they all were shopping on Temu, and the shit that came to my house was some of the worst shit. Yeah. Like didn't even belong in the Dollar Tree.
Yeah.
The quality of this crap. Yeah.
But we're all, a lot of people, if they haven't already started to grapple with the idea of living a lot leaner and in community, which is sharing resources.
Yeah.
Cooking bigger batches for multiple people, bringing all your things together, group meals, that sort of thing. Where I think a lot more people are going to be presented with that idea very soon.
Just the very philosophical concept of like understanding that if you have something, it doesn't inherently mean it's like it's yours and you have some like God-given right to it. Yeah. Right? That's not how resources work. That's not how they're supposed to work.
No, I think they're supposed to be shared. And as a Taurus who was mostly an only child, like when I say you need to learn how to share, you should listen to me, because like I had to learn
how to share. Yeah. So, and isn't it interesting? This is the last point I'll make about this, but literally the way that we evolved as a species, the way we evolved is like, it's been proven that like the number one core reason why we evolved beyond other species is because of our hypersocial nature.
Yeah.
Right. We evolved because we depended on each other.
But now we're not.
We're kind of going against evolution now.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it shows. Okay.
But let's move forward. So mid-morning, 10:53 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, we have the moon square Saturn at the very last degree.
Yeah.
I think that this is such a wild emotional reality check.
Yeah.
I think if you are not aware around the thing that you should have been releasing and ending.
Yeah.
I think that this little unassuming square,
I think this is like changing your entire thought pattern around something.
It could, yeah. I just think that it's like, oh,
yeah,
yep, okay, that, yep,
kind of vibe,
yep. And cut. Like definitely around whatever needs to end. There's a confrontation. It's like you have to make a different choice.
Yeah. And when I say like thought patterns, I mean like at its core, something like a belief system that you have. So you have to change your entire philosophy about some aspect of your life. And you can probably find that out by looking at
where Saturn is
in your chart.
and where, I don't know, I just and then the void of course begins. It's a really brief void of course, but I think it's like it
almost feels like getting punched in the face and then blacking out.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, and could you imagine there's going to be a child born
in that moment
with that moon, Saturn?
Their entire life is just going to be defined by like the only way they grow is by getting punched in the fucking face.
Endings.
Yeah.
Endings. Nothing but emotional.
Probably going to be a sad kid. God. Yeah. I know. I think about that a lot when I think of like really
certain aspects,
astrological moments.
I'm like, I wouldn't want that on my kid.
And then I think about like the day I was born, and I'm like, what were astrologers saying about that fucking day?
Right.
But yeah, so
like I know that if astrologers were doing what we were doing on like the day of my birthday, wouldn't have been like Chiron at the apex of a yod with Mars. Oh.
Ouch.
Spicy.
Yeah.
So but then at 1 p.m, around 1 p.m, 12:57 p.m, we get the moon entering Capricorn. She becomes about her business. That reality check was like, all right, bet.
Yeah.
Security.
You get punched in the face, you black out, you come to, and you're like, oh shit, now it's time.
But it's really like, security minded.
Yeah. Security minded, goal oriented.
Yes.
Right? It's like, okay, I now know what I have to do. I'm setting the goal.
Achievement oriented.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would actually say, honestly, right after that moon square Saturn, moon going into Capricorn might be a gift, because you're going to need to be able to be productive to make the most of that square, right?
3:44 p.m. we get the moon square Neptune, though. Sorry, I didn't mean to like...
The taste sucks.
You know, and it can just be like a confusion around the various things that you want to achieve now. And now you're like, really, is that exactly what I want to do? And it's a cardinal square.
Yep.
So you're wanting to take some sort of action, but is it the right action?
And it might feel critical to make that decision because it's a cardinal square, right? You're like, this decision is so important. What if I fuck it up? Kind of thing.
Yeah,
because again, Neptune is in Aries, and it's in its early degrees. So you literally, this is the moment where you have to make the first step, and you're going to be like, I have no idea what the first step to make is.
Or literally just feeling so disillusioned with the choices that you have to.
Yeah.
You're like, oh man.
Yeah.
None of this is great. Debbie Downer.
I'm just going to have to take the step and hope that
Sophie's choice. Kind of.
Really let go and let God, and hope that it ends up being better than you thought it would be.
6:45 p.m. we get the moon by quintile Uranus, so we could have some sort of good idea. From the confusion comes some sort of idea.
And then right after that at 7:10 you have moon trine Mercury. So there is some energy coming in the afternoon, some mental energy to start working through whatever problem you might be working through.
Yeah. Like there's a flow here. And then 10:41 p.m. we get the moon by quintile Mars. And this can just really feel, I think, a little bit more playful with the moon in Leo.
Yep. Or the Mars in Leo.
Sorry. Yes. Mars in Leo. But the moon in Cap, I don't know. Is it like sarcasm?
Yeah, it could be sarcasm. That's very like a Capricornian way of self-expression.
Yeah.
Is
with Leo
sarcasm. Dry.
Yeah.
Be a bit dry. Right?
Yeah. I mean, it's so late at night too. Like it's and it's so minor, but it's still,
I think that's still just like kind of continuing that energy of like there is motivation to problem solve later in the evening. But yeah, that's going to be at 10:41 p.m. So that's like toward the end of the day. And then we don't have any more aspects until the next day.
Yep.
Friday, May 16th.
Yeah. So this day, I think, is not going to feel very good.
No.
Overall, I think
no.
At all. 2:21 a.m. we get the moon, sesqui square sun in Taurus. This is some sort of like, we just feel just fully fucking out of sorts.
Probably won't sleep very well.
Yeah. 4:04 a.m. 4:04 a.m. we get moon square Venus. So this is some sort of like relationship value issues, money issues, something like what you need, your essential needs and like your habits are not jiving.
No. And what bums me out about moon square Venus, the way it often plays out for me, is I do feel motivated to try and get my needs met. And it's almost like the harder I try, the more it doesn't work out.
I mean, it's like it's issues with value.
Right.
Issues with getting the things that you need, that you need so much that you desire.
Particularly with Venus and Aries, right? You are trying to get things for yourself, and it's not panning out, or you don't have the resources to do that right now, or maybe you don't even feel emotionally in a place to get yourself there at that moment.
And you're going to really be issues with women.
Yeah. Or money.
Yeah.
Money problems. But that's kind of like the energy we're going to be kind of waking up with.
Grease.
Yeah.
Moon, quincunx, Mars. Be careful with whatever actions you take.
Yeah. It's not going to be aligned with your emotional stasis.
Yeah. I think it's feeling like physically out of your skin.
Yeah. Yeah. Restless. Restless because you're trying to go after something and you just can't quite get it to fit. So you just feel that crawling out of your skin kind of energy. And then that brings us to middle of the day around 12:10. The moon will sesqui-square Uranus and Taurus. So again, just a little bit of a shock to the system that it's a sesqui-square, so it's not huge, but it's definitely enough to just like.
I think it's emotional pain.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think it does have to do with like maybe something's ending and something's beginning.
Yeah.
And like you just
the discomfort of that.
Yeah, because I think, moon in Cap is ruled by that Saturn and Pisces. So we're very aware of what we need to release.
Yeah.
And that Uranus and Taurus is ruled by that Venus and Aries. She's beginning a new journey on her own.
Yep.
So you're like at this in-between space, this frustrating space where you're like, that's not completely done yet.
Yeah.
And I can't fully jet off over here.
You're just like living in the discomfort that is the instability of Uranus in that moment.
Yeah.
I think.
It also feels like maybe a million errands.
And just like too much to do.
But like none of them complete the task.
Oh God, I hate those kinds of to-do lists.
That was my weekend. My whole weekend
I hate it.
Was like
it's almost like you get it done and it makes you have to like add more things to your to-do list. Oh God, I hate those.
Yeah, I hate
horrible. It. Yeah.
But in the evening, 9:42 p.m., we get a moon quintile Saturn. I think this is like sobering.
This is like the best part of the day, which is unfortunate. Is that moon quintile?
I just heard on my own.
Yeah.
On my own. And you're happy about it.
Yeah. You're like, no one can help me through this anyway. I just got to stick to myself. Yeah. A lot of solitude here.
Also kind of wise.
Yeah.
Moon and Cap, quintile, Saturn and Pisces. At
the
very last
there's
degree.
like a little bit of reception there just because the moon loves Pisces so much. So
there's just like there's like a wisdom here in like being alone, set aside by yourself, doing your own thing.
It could be very meditative.
It could be.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go into Saturday, May 17th. That's Saturn's day. Saturn's anoretic.
We're about to have our another very exciting point of the week.
This day's got a lot of juice.
It's got juice. Yeah,
she's got a lot of juice. Let's just go into 7:09 a.m.
Yeah.
Moon in Capricorn trine the sun.
Yeah. This is going to be such a productive day, I think.
Yeah.
You're going to have the juice to get stuff done.
You got errands? You got errands where you're trying to create like your physical world?
Yeah. Do it on Saturday.
Do it on Saturday for sure. Because like Moon in Capricorn is all about like boss babe stuff.
Yep. And it's going to be trining the sun in Taurus. So this is an earth trine.
Physical.
So physical, tangible, money stuff, work goals, all of those things. Like get out of your head, get into
your body.
And get into your body.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, this is a nice grounding energy, especially when everything else has not necessarily felt that way for this week. And then let's go. Well, 10:37 a.m. we get the moon quincunx Jupiter. Now we've reached a little too far.
Yeah.
A little overreach. Sometimes hurt somebody.
Yeah. and you're feeling that you've overstretched a little bit.
Just a little bit. And then 12:30 p.m. Moon Square Chiron.
Yeah. Ow.
I wonder if it's like the moon in Capricorn has a tendency, or Capricorn placements also have a tendency to take on a little bit too much responsibility.
Yeah.
And that Chiron in Aries is really like, I'm doing it on my own.
Yeah.
Because I hurt.
Yeah.
And like, I don't want
And I'm not going to think ahead to how it's going to affect me. I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it's like, maybe you took a little bit too much on, and now there's like an emotional pain because you did it to yourself.
Yeah. An emotional pain. I also think that like Capricorn can be really hard on itself.
Oh God.
If it's not meeting goals that it thinks it should have met. So it could just be that, where you're just like being too hard on yourself.
Yeah.
If you haven't finished something, or if that to-do list isn't done yet, or whatever.
There's a couple moon and caps in my class in Kepler, and one of them was talking, and I think he also has Saturn on his ascendant. But anyways, he was just like, sometimes I wonder, can I ever be happy? I was like, oh man, moon in Capricorn does not sound fun.
No.
At least I have the wild swings of a Gemini.
Yeah. See, I love moon in Capricorn, and I see this with Capricorn and Virgo. I love Earth moons.
Yeah.
And a very common thing I see amongst all of them, but particularly Virgo and Capricorn, is like like you feel like shit about yourself unless you feel distinctly useful or distinctly like you have a job to do. It's like a border collie, who's just like constantly needs you to be throwing the ball or something. So yeah, it's something around that, around productivity, or you've either taken on too much or you feel like you're not doing enough. So definitely keep an eye on that. Gets a little nicer around 2:30 with a moon quintile Venus.
Yeah, that's not terrible. But 4:32 p.m. This is the big whammy at the end of the big. So we started the week with that full moon, and now we have the sun kind of finishing it up. Now, when I think about this, that full moon energy does hold. Yeah, it holds all week, because now the sun has come to Uranus, which was already involved in that full moon.
Keep in mind, this is Scorpio's sister sign that we're dealing with now. We're in Taurus, so we're dealing with this Scorpio-Taurus axis through the whole week.
Yeah. But the sun conjunct Uranus and Taurus can, I always think about how heavier, slower planets are asking the faster planet to do something when the faster planet comes up to it. So when the sun comes and meets up with Uranus is like, yo, are you ready to get free?
Yeah. It's like the taskmaster.
Like, it's time to liberate yourself, baby.
You ready to get free?
Yeah. And I mean, it's definitely about security, because we're thinking about Taurus. Security, stability, safety, survival.
Yeah, having the resources that you need.
Resourcing. Yeah, certainly.
Self-worth.
Safety. So I wonder what there is around having to give something up or free ourselves of something that we've held on to for so long around these themes, that ultimately is going to help us go on in a new way. But we have to be willing to allow ourselves to liberate ourselves. Taurus is, one of the solitary signs.
Yep.
It's just doing its own thing. I also see
Taurus, I so frequently associate with kind of being in survival mode.
Oh, all the time.
It's like the shadow side of Taurus is like, I'm the only thing I can focus on is just like getting the resources I need to have my needs, like 100%. My bare minimum needs met. Right. So yeah, it's like, where are you just like existing in a space of being in survival mode and not thinking in terms of abundance?
Yeah. I mean, we know that Uranus and Taurus has very much been around resources, and because we've just watched, all of the things happen around the various items that we grow out of the earth, all of the food shortages.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if this has to do with empty shelves.
I definitely think it does. I think it does. I think, tariffs, not having access to things. I also think I do think that issues of climate change can come into play with
100%. I mean, Uranus can literally be the earth shaking.
Yeah.
And like Taurus is the earth. So this can be earthquake energy.
Earthquake energy.
You heard about the earthquake in Texas?
I did hear about the earthquake.
That was wild.
Well, here's why I'm curious about earthquakes, especially with food shortages, is all the fracking that's happened.
Oh Jesus!
Like in the Midwest and in like the Middle South, and they're now saying like, you know, all of this fracking has fundamentally destabilized, you know, whatever part of the earth that is.
Yeah.
And so like places like Oklahoma are getting earthquakes, where technically that Oklahoma could get earthquakes, but it was very uncommon and they were very minor. And now they're starting to have these more frequent and more severe earthquakes in places like Oklahoma.
Humans are such sick little bitches.
I know. How have we done so bad that we're literally making the entire earth like tremor? You know?
Wild.
But obviously like those are historically major agricultural places in the US, right? Oklahoma, Kansas, those areas. And we both fracked it to death. And also we're acknowledging that, you know, these modern systems of farming and agriculture are not sustainable and are actually horrible for the environment. So I feel like we're kind of getting to a crescendo point with all of those things.
Yeah.
And that's even beyond just the tariffs, right?
Yeah. We should probably also mention some of the nice ways that a Sun-Uranus conjunction could manifest themselves.
Okay,
because
I'm fine with saying that because I actually love a Sun-Uranus conjunction.
Yeah,
personally.
I mean, it can definitely be like just literal intuition, just creative intuition, artistic intuition.
Sun is the self, so this is absolutely a place where you could find the energy to reinvent yourself in certain ways, or find inspirations about yourself or the path that you're on.
That conjunction is happening right on my Chiron.
Oh, so that'll be fun for you.
And my Mars.
So your little Chiron's going to have its own little earthquake.
Yeah. And my Mars.
Cool.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
It's going to like make a trine to my Venus, which is cute. Oh, actually, that's going to be cute. I wonder what that's going to mean for me.
But like something's happening in a new way.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be bad.
Maybe that's going to be like a money opportunity for me.
Would love that for you.
Thank you. We can
speak
pray.
It into existence.
We're manifesting that.
It can also be, you know, your literal ego gets shaken up. You know, kind of shaken down.
Yeah. Your ego, I think even your body, stuff around sensuality, the ways in which you love yourself.
Vitality. You know, the sun can be vitality as well.
Yeah, like Taurus is Venus, so I'm just thinking like
I think
relationships,
soul quake.
Yeah, a soul quake.
Yeah, I mean, in that Sun and Uranus are ruled by that Venus and Aries. It very much can be some sort of destabilization in how, you know, Venus wanted to go forward.
Yeah, I just think that it could be a destabilization that feels good, like something that it has just been feeling so stuck in place, and you're finally like shaking the gunk out of it. I think it could have a nice vibe like that. It's destabilizing something that you felt really stuck in place about.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, shake it up in a new way.
Well, especially because right after it,
Moon trine Uranus.
Yeah, right. Like this
emotional liberation in some sort of way. Or
I think this is actually a good moment for Uranus in general.
Yeah,
I do still think that food shortages could be coming into play with that, but there are lots of other things that are suggesting that anyway.
I mean, Uranus is so many things, right? It's very good news, bad news bears.
It's just destabilizing.
Yeah, and I just think like, I don't know, I love Uranus, and also very aware that it can just earthquake a person's life down to shambles, and it's sudden. No matter what, it's sudden.
Yeah,
Uranus is so erratic,
and that's why it can, just as much as it can be this like destabilizing, it can also be inspirational. It can be this like aha moment.
8:29 p.m. we get the Moon in Capricorn sextile Saturn in Pisces at the very last degree.
Bringing dreams to reality.
Yeah. And, there's an opportunity to really think about like your goals and also about those endings. And achieving that ending.
Yep. Yeah. And Capricorn loves the end goal, right? Yeah. So Capricorn is all about like, yes, bitch, how can we wrap this up in a nice bow?
I do feel like it's a bit somber. It's, you're saying goodbye to something.
Well, especially after we had the big Uranus conjunction earlier in the day. So something's been shaken up, and that could be kind of a sobering moment of, okay, so this all got shaken up. I see the path forward. But yeah, this is what I'm having to let go of.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's super important, particularly when it's surrounded by other big transits like that. We're in those final degrees. We're in those final degrees of Saturn and Pisces.
And this is the last time that the sun is going to meet Uranus in Taurus.
It's true.
That's it.
That's crazy.
It's a wrap.
Oh my God. Yeah, so we really are just like at the, I'm kind of excited for Saturday now.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting.
Yeah. I would say just like really pay attention on this day of like those lightning bolts of inspiration, because I think we are wrapping up something. That's going to be really important for you to keep in mind when we finally step into that beginning.
And at 10:29 p.m., last thing, before we forget, the moon enters Aquarius. Now, detach.
Yeah, a little colder, a little cool.
Like a little less emotionally invested.
I will say it will be interesting if you go by modern rulership. You're having a big Uranus day, and then it goes into Aquarius.
Yeah.
So it could be a good way to end the day.
It could also be a trauma space.
Well, of course, it's a trauma space, but could also be a trauma space.
Oh, Aquarians.
Yeah, I feel sad for people who have moon in Aquarius. I think all air moons are prone to intellectualizing their feelings, but there's something about moon in Aquarius where it's like, I'm going to intellectualize my feelings to the point that they are not my feelings anymore, and I'm just going to put them right there.
There's also like, no matter what, taking in mind everybody else's stuff before their own.
Yeah.
And so they're, unless they're being reminded of it all the time, to come back into their own body.
Yeah.
To come back into their own mind.
I mean, as a moon in Libra, I relate.
But also Aquarius placements are social.
Yep. So they can talk about their feelings, which is nice.
Sure.
Not in a way that they're actually trying to process them. But...
Yeah. I mean, it's Spockish. Like, it's just happening. This feeling is happening. And, that's
an alien experiencing human emotions for the first time and just being like, what are these? So yeah, it's a little bit colder, but definitely innovative. That kind of stuff.
Aquarius, the humanitarian, thinking of others,
thinking of
community oriented, community minded. Like,
I
mean, honestly, we need a lot more of that.
Yeah, very much prioritizing the collective before the self.
Yeah.
And we've been talking about Aquarius energy a lot, and since we started this podcast, because obviously it can go both ways. Sometimes thinking about the collective over the individual can also lead to a lot of homogenizing of community.
Yeah, it's that way, or like completely eschewing community altogether.
Yeah.
I'm the rebel. I'm set aside from my, the black sheep.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. Aquarius is such an interesting archetype because, for the folks that I have known that have like some sort of heavy Aquarian thing going on for them, they never ever feel like they belong.
Never ever.
And
not a single Aquarius I've ever known.
And it can be so hard because it's like you see them literally the life of a party, literally so connected, people calling them, interacting with them. They're a part of community. And yet they still would say they don't have close friends or good friends, or, they say that like no one cares about them. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
100 people just showed up to your sick side bed.
There's a distinct loneliness that I think is the mark of being an Aquarius.
Yeah.
Or if you have Aquarius placements anywhere,
yeah,
I think that you'll experience a loneliness and just
it's
feeling like you don't fit in and feeling unknowable,
and also just feeling different. Like you're literally the innovator.
Yeah.
Like you set the
Like
trends.
nobody understands you.
Like you set the trend. Everybody copies you and you don't get your credit. And then you're like, fuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which sucks.
And then all of a sudden everybody's doing it. And this was your thing that was like very unique to you. Yeah. And I notice a lot, like so many Aquarians I know, they'll be like the really social, funny one in the group. And then the next thing you know, you look around and you can't find them.
Oh, yeah.
And all of a sudden they've just like gone off by themselves.
Yeah, no, they are Kaiser.
But they are the ones who like started the conversation or like threw the party.
Yeah. They're the social planners. But like the moment that, it turns, they go.
Yeah, they're out.
Yeah, so. Fun. Okay.
So Moon is now in Aquarius and now we're down to Sunday. So let's go ahead and wrap this up.
Yeah.
We started off 1 a.m. Moon in Aquarius, exiling Neptune and Aries. It's great for being still in dreamland, which you probably will be, unless you've been out drinking all night.
Yeah, there's just like a dreamy...
Yeah, and Neptune can also be escapism, so maybe you'll just be drunk. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a social drunk.
Yeah.
Aquarius and Aries together.
I mean, it literally, you could be the life of the party.
Yeah, so maybe you'll just be partying at 1 a.m. Who knows?
4:28 a.m. we get the moon square Mercury in Taurus. This, not so great. Try to avoid the argument.
Yep.
Being stubborn. I mean, this is such a stubborn square.
So stubborn. So stubborn. God, Aquarius and Aries.
Oh my God.
Do you know anyone who has Aquarius and Taurus together in their top 3? Because I do. I've actually dated so many Aquarius Tauruses.
I feel like your cardinal energy would love the fight of it all.
I do. I
can break you.
The majority of people I've dated have had Aquarius and Taurus somewhere in their top 3, and they're just constantly at war with themselves.
I could never.
At war with themselves and then projecting it outward.
That's not my business.
I do love.
I've never dated anyone with a big 3 Aquarius placement because it falls in my 6th house. Why would I do that?
That's fair enough.
Like literally the bad place.
That's the bad place for relationships.
And then I dated one Taurus, and I hope he also had a Venus in Aries.
No, I actually dig that energy together, Aquarius and Taurus.
Just so freaking stubborn. But I do
so stubborn.
But I
but so stubborn that they'll sabotage themselves just as much as they'll sabotage.
I just feel like I do have one. I have a friend who's an Aquarius. I've had friends that have been like Aquarians, and they're very like egalitarian and very like, these are the rules and we got to do it by the rules. Like, so long as it really is for the benefit of everyone. If it does not actually, like if it's a bad rule, they're the first one to break it. Yeah. But like if it's a good rule, they're all in.
They're all in, and they're almost and they're gonna force everyone else to follow the rule because they're like, we're all in this together. Yeah. Right?
And I have a really strong Saturn, so I'm just like, yes, I'm here for that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but that moon square Mercury in Taurus, it's
fighty.
It's fighty, and it's also just emotionally and mentally you're not in the same place.
No.
And you are feeling the friction, but you can't necessarily make a change because of fixed signs.
Yeah. So this is going to be at 4:30 in the morning. Hopefully you've gone to bed after drinking all night, but just, those like late night, like you've been out partying all night and then you just start a stupid drunk argument. Could be that vibe.
5:37 p.m. Moon conjunct Pluto. Now you're throwing up.
Now you're throwing up. Yeah. You're having this like awful nonsensical fight with somebody because you're both drunk, and then you fight to the point where you're like, I feel bad. Yeah, and then you vomit.
Yeah,
so
I mean, it's
also early.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, Moon Pluto conjunction, they just feel so deeply, and I couldn't even imagine having Moon Pluto Aquarian.
What do you even do with that? It feels
like if you went to therapy and a person was like, I need you to feel into your emotion. Like, do you just kill them? Because you're just like, what are you saying?
Or it's like, can I phone a friend?
Like, that's not real.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that just feels like extra Spock.
Yeah. Extra Spock. Yeah, it feels a little,
really intense.
It feels.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
Yeah, it feels like asking a blind person to describe the color blue.
Yeah.
You know?
And there could also be something that kind of comes up emotionally that we are revisiting around like Pluto themes. You know, obsession, compulsion, transformation, something really deeply buried, and it's retrograde, so it's something we visited before. So there could be something to that. But moving ahead, 1 p.m. Moon in Aquarius, sextile Venus in Aries. That's a little party social moment.
Yeah,
Go
that's
to
like brunch. Yep, brunch moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Aquarius and Aries together. I think that they are low key the BFFs of the zodiac. I love Aquarius
I love this
and Aries
for you.
Thank you. Have you ever seen Broad City?
No.
Broad City, it's an Aquarius and an Aries, and they're great together.
I love it. 2:45 p.m. Moon sesqui-square Jupiter and Gemini. This it's like it's so cerebral.
Yeah.
You know?
It feels a little ruminaty to me.
Very.
Yeah.
Very.
And I'm fucking sick of Jupiter and Gemini.
It's like you can't think through what you're feeling. You can't get to the bottom of it.
No.
There's too much there.
You're getting too much data to the point that you cannot possibly process it. Yeah. And it's like there's too many possibilities.
The bloomin' onion keeps blooming.
The bloomin' onion? Wait, you said that. Yeah, Sid.
Like,
the bloomin' onion keeps blooming.
But it's like you're emotionally, you're like in another thing, and another thing,
exactly,
and another thing, and another thing, and it doesn't stop.
And you like tried it. You're like, okay, if I do A and B, then C, and you're like, but I didn't even consider D. And now with D, there's E, F, G. Yeah, you know, that's what it feels like.
And unfortunately, that goes into 7 p.m. Moon opposite Mars and Leo.
Yeah. There's that. So that sesqui square happens at 2:45, and there's really nothing else going on until close to 7 o'clock. So most of late afternoon into early evening is going to be taken up by that discomfort.
Yeah,
that brings us right into that Moon Mars opposition. You're right.
Which is just anger.
Yeah,
like, and it's like anger around not being respected.
That old Aquarian Leo thing where it's like the needs of the collective versus
someone stole your idea.
Someone stole your idea.
Someone copped your style.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah. Or you just have needs that feel really important to you, but it's not necessarily good for the collective.
This could certainly also be like literally getting into a physical fight.
Yeah. I mean, Moon Mars opposition can always end up being fighty.
It's kind of like a bar brawl.
Okay.
Social signs.
That. Yeah, you're right.
You're out with your friends, and then there's just like this Mars and Leo character comes in, and he's like,
and it's like all of your buddies are behind you, being like, you know, or everybody like gathers in a circle around the bar brawl, right?
Yeah, it's just
I can see that. I would say it's just like it's emotional It's just disagreements.
Yeah,
and ego clashes,
emotional clashes.
Yeah.
This is just, and it could also just be a really over the top emotional response.
Yeah. Like a selfish, I'm seeing it as like a selfish emotional response.
An
right?
angry one.
Yeah. There's a need to respond to the needs of many. And it's
really
you're just in a moment where you're like, but
the few.
Yeah. It's like, exactly.
It's really fucking up your need of the few, you know? Like, what about me?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't care if this is what the group has decided to do. I don't like it. Yeah. Right. So that's gonna be around 7 o'clock on Sunday, and then it brings us to
last aspect of the day. It's a minor aspect. Moon quintile Chiron. I think that there's wisdom.
Yeah, because I think especially after that Moon Mars opposition.
Yeah.
Then you kind of retreat a little bit, and you're lying in bed ruminating over the disagreement that you just had, and you kind of get to this creative place of maybe understanding where you went wrong, or
I mean, Sun is still very close to Uranus, so there's still like an electric vibe in the air. We're still kind of maybe on a little bit of a hair trigger.
Yep.
We have Saturn really, really, really anoretic. So endings are still very much happening here.
Yep.
What else do we got going on for that day that would be really important to keep in mind? Jupiter is sextile Chiron.
Yeah.
How did I miss that? So that can also be like you're feeling a lot of sensitivity as well. But also with Chiron touching Jupiter in such a beneficial way, like that can also add like a balm, a healing.
Yeah.
And also Jupiter being about wisdom, a wisdom. I mean, he's not in the best condition. He's still in propaganda.
I'm so sick of it. When is it going into Cancer?
Not soon enough, but like as soon as it goes in Cancer, it squares Saturn.
I know. We've
So
talked about this. I just hate it. It's like I keep waiting for some of these transits to end, but then you remember it's like, oh, I can't wait for Saturn to leave Pisces. But then it's going into Aries. It's like,
I just
shoot me in the
whenever
face.
I think about Jupiter and Cancer, I immediately think of Saturn and Pisces. And I was on Blue Sky. Well, I'm always on Blue Sky, but I was just like, I'm at the Jupiter and Cancer. I'm at the Saturn and Aries. I'm at the combination Jupiter and Cancer and Saturn and Aries. Like, you can't have one without the other,
right?
At least initially. I should look at like when they do separate and all of that. But I mean, at least Jupiter will be powerful. At least one planet will be powerful.
Yeah, it's going to be sick when Jupiter's in Cancer.
But
can't wait.
Thinking about who's in an overcoming square. I think it's Saturn. Nope. I think it's Jupiter. I'd have to see it on a thing.
Anyway, get ready. More bullshit's coming. But yeah, the way the week is ending, we have a moon quintile to Chiron, so there is going to be a chance for some emotional healing. If you are still dealing with the whatever, bursts of insight or destabilization that Uranus brought, this moon Chiron quintile might just help you kind of make sense of your feelings around all of it a little bit more.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that the overall themes for this week, as Sid said before, it's about endings. It's about wrapping things up.
It's and making good choices that revolve around compassion.
Yeah. And we've been talking about how we've been in an ending stage for a little bit now. And I think what kind of makes this week stand out a little bit is there's going to be some destabilizing moments of insight that are really going to help us finish kind of conclude this chapter.
Yeah,
because this week starts with that full moon in Scorpio and it ends with that.
We also
Sun Uranus conjunction
as like a button point to talk forward into the following week. Saturn will be going into Aries by the end of the next week. The sun will be in Gemini, so we got these like that fresh energy, that fresh, new, that fast
curiosity,
fast. We're gonna get our first bits of Saturn in Aries. Really close to Neptune in Aries. We don't know what that's about yet. So I think we're gonna get almost like feel like we've been shot off like a rocket.
Yep.
But we're almost there. So in the meantime, if you want to know how those transits are going to be lighting your chart up like a Christmas tree, we're both available.
Talk to us.
Yeah. I'm going to put the little thing there. And thanks, Bender, for chatting.
Thank you. You're funny today.
Thanks. Sometimes I'm funny.
Sometimes you got it on.
All right, guys. See you later.
Bye.